Welcome back to the pod where we talk about, I don't know. You know what I thought of today? I was like, what if we made an intro noise, but it was just slurping?
No, people would
Like
hate
someone
that.
drinking coffee and just slurping the coffee. I was
No.
like, can you imagine the just like hatred that would
Yeah.
brew? Yeah.
There's like hearing just some
But I
things
actually
on
have
a
a coffee today.
microphone.
That's why I
Yeah.
said that. Yeah.
Coffee number 2. We had an early start today.
We
This is the
did.
earliest I've woken up.
When
What?
It's just funny to me because you still slept through 7 alarms.
Well, yeah, but I still woke up, which is surprising. I just like woke
Well,
up and
I was making coffee because I gave up. I was like,
yeah.
he promised me 3 times yesterday because I asked multiple times, like, are you sure you're going to be up? He's like, of course. Yes, I'll be up. We will leave at 6:30. I was like, okay, direct quote, we are going to leave. Like, for sure, leave at 6:30 so I don't have to rearrange my plans. It passes 6:30 this morning, and I'm like, okay. So.
Well, see, for some reason, I don't know if I slept through. I had a 6 a.m. alarm. And I got up to a 6:18 alarm, so I guess it snoozed like 3 times.
Yep.
But
That was
then
up for all
I
of them.
turned that off, and I was like, okay, we're leaving at 6:30. Like, she'll wake me up
No.
in 12 minutes. And then, like,
I told
I just
myself,
got
I was like, I
up,
am not waking
and
him up.
it was 6:43. No alarm or anything, and you were just,
Making coffee.
yeah, in
And
quote,
I was like, I guess
I have changed my plans.
I
But
had.
we left at 7, so I was 30 minutes late, but we still went. We went
Late.
on like a walk run out at a new trail we haven't been to.
It was good. And it was not super hot. Like, the water chilled off the area a little bit, which was good because,
Is that the Chattahoochee River next to it, or is it?
yeah,
Okay.
Chattahoochee.
All right, that's like the big one that goes
Isn't
to
there like a
Atlanta.
song like way down south in the Chattahoochee?
No, I don't listen to that kind of music.
No. Oh,
Oh.
you're lame. Okay. So, college football kicks off today.
Yep.
So, we have a few little pre-game questions for you.
Okay.
Before we get into like our actual discussion today. Question number 1, are we going to go to a football game this year in one of the SEC schools?
I don't know. I feel like if we were going to go to one, I'd probably go to Auburn.
Interesting. I was going to say UGA, but
Yeah, well, I don't know. I'd probably go to another UGA game.
I just think they're so, like, it's just amazing because now, granted, KU sold out their stadium a few times. They're making some big upgrades, whatever. But
The atmosphere
holy
is
crap.
just very different.
It's so different.
It's,
Like, the flood of red when we were going to our seats, it was just coming from wherever the heck it was coming from. Wow. I was like, oh my gosh, this is very different.
Yeah.
And it's funny because, where I grew up, like, tailgating, that sort of stuff, like, that didn't really happen. We were 4 hours away from Denver. Like, I didn't really go tailgate like a Denver Broncos game. So when I went to KU, it seemed like there were a lot of tailgaters, and now the stadium wasn't always super full, but
And that's what, like, the big thing at, like, KU's, like, they'll all go to all the houses around and they'll tailgate. But then no one actually goes to the game because it's hot and the team's not very good. So,
but we're hoping that turned
Yeah.
itself around a little bit last year. I guess that leads into my
this is their
next
year.
question. How good do you think KU is going to be this year?
Oh, man. I think they go to a bowl game,
You think so?
but I don't
Okay, you
think
have to make an early decision. What bowl are they going to?
Oh, my gosh. That's so I don't even know what they are because they have all of them. So
Well, you
we'll
just gotta pick one.
say, man, would they go to the Fiesta Bowl last year? The State Farm, the Alamo Bowl.
The Alamo Bowl.
Yeah, we'll go with
You
that
know,
one.
I love bowl season. I think it's so fun. Like, the TV, the vibes, because it's like around the holiday season, and it's just probably like with football just always being on the television. Like I just love that time of year.
That would be. It was like Christmas last year. We were watching like TCU and Georgia.
Yeah. Yep. Because we were with my family when the the national championship games were happening.
Yeah, I think like
Wild.
we went to like Hamilton and then football.
I don't know like what days were which or if those were the same night.
They were different nights.
Yeah, no idea. Because Hamilton we got back pretty late.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yes, college football and then NFL football kicks off in 2 weeks.
I think like 12 days. So they have this
days.
week.
We should
They have a
next year
week
we're gonna
off.
get a countdown clock.
Okay.
Like
yeah.
that's gonna be your Valentine's Day present because that should be like right after the Super Bowl, and it's gonna be a countdown clock till
to
NFL
the next
season.
start of the year.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds good to me. I like that.
Can you imagine just on your desk?
Yeah.
I think that'd be really funny.
Oh man, yeah, it's the
Noticeable.
off season. How many days? There's 186 more days.
There's 104 days of
Oh.
no football season. Anyhow, okay, but something we've been talking about a lot this week. It's because I was reading This Summer I Turned Pretty, which I started reading so I could watch the not Netflix, Amazon Prime movie. I didn't love probably because I already read the book and I visioned the boys differently and like some of the things that they changed and I didn't really agree with the changes and so just not really into the show. But I did like the books. And I brought up the question to you because
I'm gonna pause you here.
Okay.
It was some of the worst acting I've seen in a show, and I didn't even watch it.
It's a very popular show.
Well, it was terrible. Like within 5 minutes, I was like, "This is just not worth watching. It's terrible." I was in the kitchen. I was cleaning the kitchen when she turned it on, and like I was like, "Oh, sweet! I don't have to watch this. This is like." I'm going to the room.
Yeah, it was not the best.
But yeah, you've actually been absolutely grinding on the Kindle / iPad this week.
iPad Kid. Yeah, but anywho, so I was reading these books because I finished all 3 of them this week. So yes, have been grinding. And she's having like this internal conflict because she has these 2 brothers. And one of them, she's like super passionate about, just like thinks that they are a match made in heaven. And the other one's just like consistent. Like he's always there. He's dependable. And it's like, he's my best friend.
They're not her brothers, right?
No.
Oh,
no.
Yeah, that makes way more sense.
Not her brothers.
Okay, not a family.
Just a set of brothers. Their moms are best friends.
Oh, okay.
Does that make you feel better?
Yeah.
Okay. Anywho. And so I posed a question to you earlier this week. Would you rather have a relationship that's full of passion or one that's consistent and dependable?
Yeah.
And your answer, you could tell us what was your answer.
Okay. I think, what did I tell you? Like,
You said the consistent and dependable one if you forgot.
I don't think that. I don't think I said that.
You did, because you said I wouldn't want the risk of the passionate one.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, like, if you got a homie just always there for you and like taking care of you, like that's like long term who you're gonna want to be with.
Yeah. Now, then I asked you the question of what do you think at this moment in time we are? And you said the consistent one.
Yeah, I think our relationship's much more like consistent and dependable.
And so the next question is, how would you define passion?
Oh my goodness. Say like passion is just like how like deeply like rooted you like see or view something, or what you would be willing to do for that thing, because like some people are like very passionate about like
Fantasy football.
yeah, absolutely, or like really awful stuff like like following rules or whatever.
Yeah.
Like if you are speeding, you're like an
Yeah.
awful person. So like that's just kind of weird.
Yeah, and I think a lot of romance novels and just the culture around relationships usually wants to view passion as this like euphoric feeling that unless you are in like this high dopamine state throughout your entire relationship, then like you're not the match because you're not constantly like head over heels for this person, like pining after each other.
You just reach like this like super high, and that's like what it has to be all the time.
So if you're not there, then like the relationship sucks. Move on, find someone else. And as I was thinking about, okay, well, what does passion mean? To me, if I'm passionate about something, it means that I'm willing to be so consistent with it, and because of how much I care about it, that even through like the problems or the obstacles that arise, like I'm willing to push through that because I care about it so much. And that doesn't mean that you're like in la la land for the entire time, because you're bound to like hit a wall at some point, in anything you do, whether it's you're passionate about fantasy football or you're passionate about writing books or sports or running or whatever it may be. Like, just because you're going through something hard doesn't mean that there's not passion. That like, because you're not in this euphoric state doesn't mean that you're not passionate about each other. Because we started discussing about like, okay, well, is our relationship like passionate? Like, okay, maybe not in the like I get butterflies every time I see you because we live in the same apartment. But I think we are passionate because we're willing to stick with it, like no matter what comes our way.
You'd like, if like we were in like San Francisco and New York City, and like I flew across the country to take you to dinner and flowers, like you'd be like, oh my gosh, he's so passionate or whatever. But that's like, to me, like a romantic thing. But like obviously, like we live in a 2-bedroom apartment, like we're not doing that. So like you're saying this confusing, like
I think it's easy to
that,
mix
like,
up
heavy romance with like,
because I think I guess Hollywood vibes of it is like you want this relationship where you're just always on fire and not so much the relationship that's consistent. But after thinking about it this week, I would much more prefer the relationship that's consistent, because at the end of the day, like a hit of dopamine just because you have something for a moment that feels really good is not going to get you very far. And I was listening to a podcast yesterday that was interesting, talking about dopamine and just like how younger people typically go in and out of relationships a lot more, because once the newness fades, they don't want it's no longer giving off as much, like they don't get as much dopamine from the relationship, so they typically leave looking for something better. But more mature relationships, they're willing to stick it out.
Now, do you think more girls or more guys do the kind of like, oh, like I'm just not feeling the vibes anymore, like it's time to go on to the next one?
I'm not 100% confident in this answer, but I would probably go with girls, because I think we have this idea of this feeling we have to have all the time. And when we're not feeling that, it's like this can't be what it's supposed to be. Like it can't be hard.
Yeah.
And any relationship. And I think that's something I've had to think about a lot as we've been married, is like when it's hard or just like dull, you're just like, I really just don't want to hang out with you tonight. Like I just need to have a break.
I think
from
those days
looking
are
at you.
good too, you know?
Yeah, and it's like, well, is there a reason why? And it's like, no, it's just like part of life. Like, you're not.
And people definitely need space. I think reading a lot of like stuff of like older couples is like they understand that, and just like sometimes they need like a day break. It's not that they don't want to see you. It's just like they need to recharge their batteries.
Yeah.
Especially if you're pretty introverted, which you are.
Yes.
But just to kind of go back to, your question, do you feel like there's like a societal pressure to me, I feel like it's more women, but that's just kind of what I see online, of like not wasting youth,
I do think so.
where
And
the years of like 20 to like 29 are like your prime, I guess. And
yeah. And I do think it's like that, and I think it's because of the like sex appeal around it. Like, you have to, in your youth, you have this appeal to you that, I mean, I've always personally like looked forward to getting older and just the wisdom in aging, in the experience. But I think that, yeah, as a society, as a like societal norm, women are pushed more to like
be younger,
yes.
like with the
Whether it's, I mean, we talked about what percent of self-made women
get plastic
have
surgery,
to have some sort of,
or like Botox, different
some
stuff,
sort of physical maintenance thing to like keep up. Where I wouldn't know, I mean, I don't know the percentage either way of like which way that swings, but it is really interesting why that.
And like when like some female celebrities get older, it's like, oh, like they had this thing done or this thing done, but like almost like all of the dudes in Hollywood also like are getting work done, but like no one
talks
mentions
about
it.
Yeah.
So it's like, Tom Cruise is 65 years old with like super dark brown hair. He's like got complete fake teeth.
It's the jeans.
Yeah.
He's got really good jeans.
He hasn't aged in 30 years.
It's amazing.
Now, I mean, what was that? He definitely aged in Top Gun Maverick, I guess.
But not to
but
like
Mission Impossible, Tom Cruise, probably not. Which still need to go see.
I thought about us going last night, but then I just don't really feel like going.
It tanked in the box office, so it'll be out on streaming soon. So, we'll save a little money. But back to the conversation, I guess. Like, why does that... You obviously feel like there's a stronger pull, but I mean, I guess we kind of talked about it, but it's just like different. Because, like, I think like with like dudes, like you kind of hit your 30s and like 35, and then that's like, prime money making years or everything. Like that's like prime might be a little older and longer. But then there's the kind of, I guess it's called the honeymoon phase, right?
Yeah.
Like at the beginning of relationships. And that's like the best time to like talk to friends when they're like in that, like they just met a girl or whatever.
And they're just like, she's like the best thing ever. Are you not saying that about me to your friends?
Not anymore. Like the honeymoon phase has ended,
Shannon's freaking annoying.
That's never been said. But
Only thought.
Sure. But you do get that of like relationships that will just like burn really bright. They'll be seeing each other every day, and then it's just like, like actually, like we have to go live our lives outside of this. I don't know if we're gonna work together. As much.
And I was also thinking about this just in the, like how this idea of passion versus consistency also relates just to a like life thing. Because I think right now it's also really big of like living your life to the fullest and being adventurous and spontaneous and everything. And although that is fun and that does bring a lot of memories, and I think, I mean, you shouldn't just, go to work, like make every day so routine. But also, I think there's so much growth that happens when you have a routine that you can't really build something great if you don't have a structure around it. And I'm just curious what your thoughts are on, like, what do you think the balance would be of, like, having a consistent, structured life versus one that's spontaneous, where, like, you don't live for that kind of structure.
Yeah, if you're keep continuously like trying or doing new things, and it's like kind of like what I mean, we just were experimenting, doing new things, and then you like, but like playing an instrument or buying multiple instruments and trying to like learn them to all play at once, like you're never gonna get like good at one of them.
Yeah, because you've got
So
to look
so
for the new thing.
from what you're saying of like kind of like passion being like just a deep rooted like love of something you're willing to put in time and I guess consistency, like it's like a daily thing. So if I was going to learn how to play the guitar, which I can't do currently, probably won't ever be able to do.
That's not true. You could learn.
I do not have the passion to learn how to play. Yeah. But if you're going to play that every day, or I mean, I guess more so like either with health, fitness, running, you have to have a passion for that to continue to do it. Because some people can do it.
Yeah. And it's not so much the passion I think we want to view it as like the euphoria feeling, but more of that consistent, the more
deep
of the
love, like I want to,
Which is what I think like marriage is about, because we're not going to constantly be in a state of euphoria. Like we're not going to be like head over heels for each other, just waiting till I can see you again, because like we work like 5 feet apart. And so it's more of just like that deep rooted dependability. And I mean, I think love is such a hard word to define.
And it's very different for almost
Yeah.
everyone. Because we were talking like last week, but like some people view it as very transactional, where they're not willing to give more than they get.
Yeah.
And it'll be like, oh, it's 50-50 if you're willing to give 50, like a business deal. But sometimes it can be like, you have to work a lot this week. Like, you know, I will take care of all the chores and walk all the dogs and, oh, here, I did the shopping list this week kind of thing.
Yeah.
And just like going above and beyond what you would normally do and then expecting nothing in return.
Yeah. And I think that's just because you are passionate about that person, but not in the way we want to view it from like the romance novel passion. Like, oh wow, we're just so in love with you. I just want to please you all the time. And I think that's an interesting way to think about life too, because sometimes I'm like, we need to be more like spontaneous, like, go on a date on just a random day or go take a random trip or something. But also, I don't think either of us like that sort of lifestyle, because we like structure. And also, I think, going back to what I said originally, like that structure is what helps. I mean, maybe not everyone, but it does help you grow a lot. Like it's hard to, like your guitar example, you're not going to get good if you're just
playing once a month,
spontaneously picking it up.
But if you play
the
daily, so just like almost having that consistency and that willingness to go back every day just creates such a nice foundation.
Yeah.
Building block. And I think that's really important. Even just like in a relationship too, like some people when they get to work every day, they'll send their wife or significant other like a "I love you" message kind of thing, or for me, it's making you coffee in the afternoon.
After you get my
Yeah, no.
messages.
I had to get a couple reminders this week, but for the most part, I try sometimes.
Yeah, I just think it's easy to get caught up in what these, like, it's a great idea. It's a great idea to just live life so wild and crazy. It sounds fun from the outside, but I think it's so easy to get caught up in, like, oh, that a romance that's just like where you just feel like you're on fire all the time. Like, that's what you got to go after. And I think it's so easy to get caught up that these ideas are what makes life. And I just don't know if that always holds true.
Yeah, especially if they're just bouncing around. Because, with that, like, people, they might not actually be growing or building something better for them.
If it's something that's really unstable too, like, you just have like this burning passion, but then it like has a sharp downhill, and then, you're up again and then down again, like crashing again. That's a lot of like emotional trauma right there that would get rather exhausting. And so I don't know if that's and, this week, as I was thinking about this question and how it related to my book, I was like, I don't know if I'd want the relationship where, okay, yeah, it might feel good for a little bit, but I mean, that just doesn't feel like it'd get me far enough to where it'd be worth it. Just for that moment, like, no. And the Nick Bear podcast that I listened to yesterday about dopamine brought up how, like, if you buy a new car, it sounds so good, so fun, such an amazing feeling, and then you have the car, and it's no longer cool or amazing or something fun.
Then payments start.
And and it's just like,
oh man, like my last car got better gas mileage, different stuff, and regret can kind of start to sink in pretty easily there.
And it's just easy, I think, to get caught up in all of that. Like, I just want this so bad. It would make my life so much better.
We've done that a couple of times over the last year of like, we should get a new car. Yeah. And
then every time, like
2 weeks later, we're just like, man, but like, ours are like pretty solid,
They're working.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't want a car payment yet. Let's wait till one of them fail, and then we can start a car payment.
But just to kind of close out here, I don't want you to give any spoilers because, plugged a book that you really liked. Can you give some hints on kind of what the choice was, or like what happened, or?
She chose one. I don't know if this is how the show goes, but I'm just going off the books. She chose one, and then the other one came around. She went with the other one.
Okay, so the other one just kind of waited.
Yeah.
Oh, so I'm pretty confident I know which one. I'm gonna use my prediction skills here.
You're gonna use your prediction skills?
Yeah.
Okay, you predict.
So happily ever after, though.
Yes, they did live happily ever after, I think.
Okay. That's a great story.
Yeah. Thank you all for joining us today. And catch us back next week for who knows what we'll talk about. Bye.